Welcome to the Hour of Code tutorial for our Code the News assignment. Be sure that you are working on Code the News. There are 4 tutorials in Hour of Code, and this is the one that is graded for the assignment. You may do the others if you'd like, but this is a required one. So follow the directions once you are into the vid code, and you will see the directions are very clear in the top left-hand corner. So just follow those directions. I'm not going to talk through every click, but what I'm doing here on the screen is following the directions. One key thing here in step 2.3 is that you're changing the name of the variable, which was called myGraphic, and it retyped over that line 2 here in the code, changing myGraphic to the word insert, because following are some changes to the positioning of where this graphic comes in. So the word insert is a variable that is only defined once. Variables are only defined once, and then they can be acted upon on further lines. So line 3 is showing changing the position of the X horizontal axis, 0 being the left-hand side. And now I change it to 500, too far, 50. Gonna just play around with it to try to get it in the center. Now there's other ways of doing that, but this is where you specify the number to pinpoint where you want it to be. The y-axis is the vertical up-down, so we're moving the graphic to the start position of 50. You can also change the scale, make it 2 times larger, and then it really changed my position. So I think I settle in at something like 1.2, maybe 1.5. And then I'll have to go back in and change the X and the Y position so that since my graphic got larger, I want it to be kind of centered. Now moving on to section 4, where you are adding a box, which is called a container, a graphic container. So I moved in the rectangle, and I inadvertently did it twice, so deleted one. Now you can also save some space between the different modules. You can see you don't have to write on every line, and you are also encouraged to write comments with a double forward slash, and that is so that you can make your code readable, because it really does look like a foreign language. So putting some comments to explain what the next section is about is very helpful in coding. So here we are defining the variable again, right at the very top of this section, variable of a container. So the word container is going to be our object that we're placing on the screen, and there are 4 variables. Now some people are typing in x-pos, comma y-pos. Those are just names for the 3 numbers that have to be in the bracket. The first number is the x-axis position, the second number the y-axis, the third number is the width of the container, and the fourth number is the height of the container, and those need to be numbers, just like you see. Don't forget to put the semicolon after every line of code. This can really mess up your coding if you do not have those in there. So I've defined the variable container, and now I'm going to modify it. So I type the word container, which is our variable, period color, and then you can change the color. And I think I've noticed that these color names have to be lowercase, so you can change it any color you want. Then I'm changing the color of the border itself to blue, and you can see up in the screen preview that it did the bottom of the container, because you're not seeing the top of the container. Later I'm going to move the container down a little bit and make it a background for the biology is life. And so you'll see that it does show the container going all the way around it. So now what I'm going to do is move my biology is life text called my header code. I'm going to move that up to the top so that I'm actually making this part of my scrolling text with the green container being the background. The instructions have you build the container after the text, and when you do that, it puts the container over the text, and so it makes it invisible. So what I just did was I cut the code of the container and then added it before the headline code so that the text would appear on top of the container box. So that is something that we're learning by doing the instructions in order, realizing that the order is important when you put that in the code, because code executes from top to bottom. Don't forget to save your work, and then when you do, you can always revert back to it, or if you're ending this session, then you can pick up where you left off. Up in the top right-hand corner, you see the letter J. That's a drop-down for my account, and then I can get to see my classes, and your work is saved under what is called sketches, my sketches. There are 2 sketches. There is the saved submitted project, kind of like the finished project, and also there is work in progress. So your saved work is under work in progress. So I'm just adding a code comment in the center there. This is the rectangle code. It's in this tutorial, I'm only making 1 rectangle behind my moving text, whereas in the instructions it has you do a couple rectangles. So I'm looking for you to complete at least 1 rectangle with text and with scrolling text and with a picture. And then also to finish this out with section 8, which we're not there yet, you have a logo that you've created and it fades in and out. The width of the container should be the width of the movie. So normally we type numbers in there, but I am showing that you could type a number like 100 or 10, right? Whatever it is. But if you just want it to be the entire width of the video, then it's sort of easier just to say that it is the width of the movie with the word movie.width. Okay, moving on to feature number 6, instructions. I'm going to make a logo. So first I'm putting a few comments here on what's going to come up. So here's the graphic logo code. Following the directions in 6 instructions. So I clicked into the circle and it created a variable called logo circle, and it has 3 numbers, the X, the Y position, and the third number is the radius. Then I just copied a few other changes to the circle itself from the instructions, and I'm changing the color, changing the border around it, the color of that border, and also the weight of the border itself. And so now you can see that I'm going to change the X and the Y position so that it's a little farther down in the center of the screen. This is going to be my logo. Next up, I'm moving on to making the graphic scroll. So my biology is life at the top of the screen, that is going to move like a ticker tape. So the directions tell you to add a repeat function from the left-hand side. And there's also a comment that I just edited to say write the code below to animate your headline. So we only need one line of code in there to do so. To move the text, that is the X position on a graph. So changing that continuously is with this code says the headline, which was defined up above, the headline is my biology is life. The headline X position equals the headline changing, the headline X changing. So here's the code, headline.x minus equals 20. So it's going to keep going until the headline equals 20. It started at the, was it 90? And so it's going to go 90 down to 20. Now this last number that I'm changing in the repeat is the speed at which it executes. So I changed that from a 5 to a 0.2, and then it scrolls much faster. And now I'm changing the minus to a plus in the headline.x, and that can make it go scroll to the right or to the left. A minus makes it scroll, and decrement, decrease. And so that was it. I'm saving my work. In section 8, the last section, it is having your logo fade in. So we're going to start by making it invisible. That is called opacity. And so I need to make my logo invisible. In my example, I have a logo with a circle and the letter B. So you will see me go up underneath the graphic logo and letter code on line 25. I'm now on line 29. I hit enter and I'm typing logo of the circle. Make that circle opacity 0. That makes it invisible. Then I move down to line 35 and hit enter. Line 41 now. And I'm going to make the letter invisible. Letter opacity is 0. Make sure you're typing the underscores and the period and the semicolon. Now it's gone. Now we need to go to the bottom of the code and we're going to add another repeat loop. So in instruction 8.5 it says you'll use another repeat loop, which I've entered. I'm entering a comment here that says this is the repeat code for my fade in of my logo, which is not appearing on the screen at the moment. So I'm going to go right below my comment in line 51, and I'm going to add fade the logos back in because we made them invisible up above. So now I need to know the name of my two variables, logo underscore circle dot opacity. It's right now set to 0, so we want to make it grow. Plus equals 0.1. Going to do the same thing. So it's going to repeat and keep making it brighter and brighter. Do the same thing for the letter, the logo dot letter, opacity increment by 1. And there you have it. It is growing. And so that's it. You only have to go through section 8.11 here in this vid code. So I am saving my work. I am also going to submit. And it saved it immediately, and then I thought, well, I should write a description. So then I hit the word saved again in the right-hand corner, and it saved it with my comment. So that's how you turn in your work. You submit your final code. Then I'm heading over to my sketches, and my final code was right there. It no longer just appears under work in progress. It shows as final. There's nothing to turn in at Canvas. This is how you turn in your project, right here inside VidCode. Hey, great job. You've done some coding. That's what the hour of code is all about. Now you have computer programming power.